Hello and welcome to the Microlite BackupEDGE video training series. The training series is designed to help you understand and get the most out of BackupEDGE. This lesson is on using custom policies to control access to Amazon S3 buckets. Lesson 1 and 2 of this series should be viewed prior to watching this video. As a reminder, the Amazon Access Key ID and Secret Key ID are a secure password combination allowing other systems to connect to the Amazon Simple Storage service. However, they control only connection security. After connection, no read or write access is allowed to buckets based simply on the keys. Bucket access is controlled by policies. So the full definition of any single user created under a master account is one set of credentials, in other words, an access key and secret key ID, combined with one access policy, which is the method of controlling access to buckets after the connection is made and authenticated. For reference, policies are described using a JSON type language. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation, which is an easily readable format for structuring data. Let's explore some of the uses and advantages of policies. The simplest scenario is for an account to have one user with a full access policy and one bucket for storage. This is discussed with a full example in Training Video 2. Here, we'll create a user called Alpha with a policy of full access communicating with a bucket on Amazon called Aries-USS. Now, a user with a full access policy can actually access an unlimited number of buckets in any number of Amazon regions. Remember that when we say user, we mean a single set of credentials with a policy. These credentials could be applied to any number of servers, each with access to all of the buckets. An IP address or IP network restriction policy may be used to limit access for maximum security. In this scenario, access to the buckets may be restricted to a server or servers accessing Amazon from a known IP address or address range only. Under a master account, an unlimited number of users may be created, each with access to its own private bucket. Potential uses for this scenario would be multiple buckets for multiple servers being used in the same company, or in the reseller and VAR world, multiple servers and multiple companies, each with its own security. All storage fees from Amazon would be billed to the master account, no matter how many users and buckets are created. Of course, for additional security, IP address or IP network restrictions may be applied to specific policies. And finally, a reminder that even in a scenario where multiple users and policies have been created, one or more users may be created with a full access policy, allowing them to see or retrieve data from all the buckets. This can be used in a corporate scenario or when resellers or other parties need to access all the stored data. Let's go back to our simplest scenario, the single user with a full access policy and a single bucket. Let's create this live on Amazon Web Services. First, we'll log into the Amazon AWS Management Console. Here you'll see in the S3 section the bucket called LX-Class-USS that we created in video lesson number 2. Let's create a bucket called Aries-USS, meaning US Standard Region, in the Standard Region, which is the Northern Virginia region. Now that the bucket's been created, let's go to Identity and Access Management, create a user called Alpha with programmatic access, and add the S3 full access policy. Now, we'll download the CSV file containing the credentials. These credentials will be used in BackupEDGE. I'm going to go offline for a moment, go back into the S3 section, and create some additional buckets as per the previous slide. Okay. Now you'll see that I've created the Aries, Taurus, and Gemini buckets in the US Standard region and the Cancer and Leo buckets in the Canadian Central region. Let's go back to Identity and Access Management and I'll create some additional users offline. Now you'll see that I have users Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, and Echo created. Each has their own credentials, but each is still running under the full access policy. Let's examine creating specific policies for each user to access single buckets. We can click on Policies, Create Policy, and create your own policy. The BackupEDGE user guide has a number of useful example policies that we can use as templates. From the BackupEDGE user guide, we'll scroll down to Section 11, Configuring S3 API Cloud Backups, then to Section 11.13, Using Amazon Web Services S3CLOUD, then scroll down to Creating Additional Security Policies, then to Security Policy with Single Accessible Bucket. Here you'll find a single bucket policy that you can copy and paste as is into the policy document section. Change the two entries that say your bucket name to the actual name of your bucket, whatever it happens to be, in this case Aries-USS. Give the policy a name, a description. Click Validate Policy to make sure the syntax is correct, and when it says the policy is valid, click Create Policy. Now that we've created the policy, we can attach it to user Alpha. To do this, let's delete the attached policy Amazon S3 Full Access, which would now prevent all access to any buckets by user Alpha. We'll click Add Permissions, attach existing policy directly. In our search bar, put USS since that was part of our Aries string, and attach the policy. Now our Alpha user has this policy and can only access this bucket. We can continue these policies, create similar ones, and apply them to all of the other users that we've created, giving them access to single buckets. Let's create another policy for user Bravo, which specifically accesses the Taurus-USS bucket only from a single IP address range. To do this, we'll click on Policy, Create Policy, Create Your Own Policy. Then, back in the user guide, we'll click on Security Policy with IP address range limitation. We'll copy that entire policy, paste it into the policy document. We'll change our two spots in the policy where it says your bucket name to Taurus-USS. And we'll change our IP address to the Microlite network. When this policy is created, only this IP address range and the Taurus-USS bucket will be accessible from user Bravo. We'll validate the policy, and when the policy is validated, we'll create it. Then we'll go back to Users, Bravo, delete the default access policy, add a new policy, and add the Taurus bucket policy from Microlite's network only. That's all there is to adding custom policies to Amazon Web Services for use with BackupEDGE. You can check the user guide for policy templates with other possibilities. Thanks for watching this lesson. Please check our website at www.microlite.com or our YouTube channel for other lessons and information about BackupEDGE.